Mike Evans is the founder of the Friends of Zion Heritage Center, an author and a Middle East expert. He also was advisor to President Trump for 4 years. Mike Evans, thank you so much for taking this time with me at the Media Line.
Delighted to be with you.
President Trump is going to be the 47th president, and many people are still trying to figure out how the map turned red, how the Senate is now Republican, and still waiting, of course, on what's going to happen with the House. What's your take?
Bible believers. America is fundamentally a traditional family value nation, made up of little homes and farms and little communities with moms and pops and children. And what happened with the election is there was such an extreme push to a progressive agenda that the American people just said, absolutely not. This is not who we are. This is not where we want to go. And in addition to that, every Bible believer in America believes that Israel is the Bible land. And the one thing that unites them all is Genesis 12. I'll bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. They were very worried. They knew Donald Trump would bless Israel. And they weren't convinced that Kamala Harris would.
How much of a role did the Middle East play in the election?
I think it played an enormous role. I think actually the state of Israel probably had more impact on Donald Trump winning than anything else, because there was a lot of unhappy people, because the media day and night pounded away disinformation, making the terrorists looked like the victims, and Israel looked like the aggressors, which was just the opposite.
Military procurements have become the yardstick for measuring an American president's commitment to Israel. Israel was in a precarious position during the war between Hamas and Israel. Do you feel that this is the first and only time that they have gone through something to such an extent in terms of an arms embargo?
No, I think it happened in the time of Henry Kissinger or Golda Meir. But Golda Meir played a card on Henry. It was called the Samson Option. She woke him up one morning and she told him, we're putting the missiles on our planes, nuclear. And he said, no, Golda, I'll call Henry and give you anything you need. So it's happened before. I mean, there was even an arms embargo on the state of Israel on its birth. So it's not the first time Israel's faced this type of thing.
What do you think President Trump will do when he comes into office if the war is continuing?
Well, number one, I don't believe the war is going to continue after January 20. I believe President Trump has no desire to be a wartime president. He was adamantly against the Iraq war, the Afghanistan war, and he was adamantly against the Ukraine war. So I think that President Trump is basically sending a signal to the state of Israel, to Bibi Netanyahu, even though he's not president right now, to get everything completed by January 20th. Give me this wonderful gift. Now, can he do it? Bibi, do it. He actually can do it. Because right now, 85% of Hamas's back is broke. Hezbollah's back is broke 85%. Israel could finish off the job in the next 8 weeks with the two Iranian armies, except there's one bigger army, and that is in Tehran. And so what can Israel do with that army? Israel has no options. They have to confront them. Iran is the banker that's funding terror. In order to stop the banker, you must bankrupt the banker. Israel cannot strike the nuclear reactors. I wrote 3 books on this. Number one, they're hardened. Number two, they don't even have the armaments that would destroy them completely. And unless they use low-yield nuclear, which they'll not do, these are high-population cities. But here's what Israel can do. Israel can strike the oil refineries and shipping. This will collapse the economy of Iran, the terrorist state. It will bankrupt the banker of terror, and they'll have no more money to fund Hamas, fund Hezbollah, or even make their own ballistic missiles against the state of Israel. By the way, the entire Sunni world will celebrate. They despise these devils.
There's a short window for what you speak. Do you feel Israel has the capacity at the moment to do it before you see President Trump enter into office?
Yes, Israel, 100%. Israel has one of the most strategic military powerhouses in the world, its Air Force. Israel has the cyber ability, they have the technology, they can knock out. Listen, let's just take one tiny island, Kerrig. That is the primary source of oil refinery. Knock it out. I said this many months ago at a Christian media, the summit that was held here. I said they need to knock it out. Well, they need to knock out all the oil major refineries and shipping. Iran will be totally bankrupt. It'll be finished. And by the way, what a gift to give to the people. 85% of the population, which is 85 million, despise the mullahs. They can overthrow those mullahs. The mullahs will not have money to even fund terror within their own country.
One of the questions that people would want to know the answer to is, here we have the last months where President Biden is sitting in office. What can happen? What can he do? What kind of constraints can he put on Israel at this moment to absolutely flip what you're saying?
Absolutely nothing. Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, which I've known him longer than most people. We are cherished friends for over 43 years. Bibi Netanyahu's only primary objective is the security of the state of Israel. And he's been pounding this message for more than 15 years concerning this matter. And he will be strong. Israel will be strong. Israel can do this. Israel does not they have a preemption doctrine. They understand what I'm saying. Israel has the capability of bankrupting Iran. Oh, by the way, the only major crisis, it won't be World War III. The Sunni world will do nothing. They're not going to do nothing about it. They're going to be happy. They won't say it, but they'll celebrate. So the only thing it'll cause is an economic shockwave. Now, you don't want that after January 20th. You don't want to give Donald Trump an economic shockwave when he comes into the presidency, and you don't want to attack on Iran then. The window is open now. I believe Donald Trump will be extremely happy if Israel bankrupts Iran. Remember, this is the president who had the strongest sanctions. If he bankrupts Iran and knocks them out, it's going to be wonderful, because here's what Donald Trump wants to do for Israel. He wants to build. Donald Trump can come in next year, and I believe he's going to bring the Sunnis in. You'll have peace with Saudi Arabia next year. It'll be the crown prince of the jewel of the Abrahamic Accord that Jared and he worked on. That'll bring in your entire Sunni world. Now, by the way, when the Sunnis come in and the Saudis, it's a game changer for Israel with Iran, the Shia, because they can't game the system anymore. And secondly, it's a game changer for the Palestinians, because the Palestinians will have no more cash registers to fund terror. It'll be over with. And I believe you can see a coalition coming out of that can address the Gaza crisis. The Crown Prince does not permit anti-Semitism in Saudi Arabia. Zero tolerance for anti-Semitism. There's a lot of things that have to be done in Gaza in layers. But I believe the building can begin, significant building that can begin. I want to say something of Palestinians. We have 600,000 of them living in America. They're not causing us any trouble. They've embraced democracy, and they're prospering people. I believe that the Palestinians have been used as cannon fodder by the Persians, who don't want to die killing Jews. They want other people to die for them. So they've gamed these people. They've gamed them in Lebanon. They gamed them here in Gaza. But all that's going to stop. And when it stops, there's an opportunity to reform, rebuild, re-educate.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.
Which begs the question, and we'll get to the education in a second, the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has been everywhere. He had kept a low profile for a long time. Is there something that you are aware of that's going on in terms of change of regime in Iran at the moment? Because there seems to be an opportunity.
I think you saw a shockwave of the Iranian economy in the last 24 hours since Donald Trump was elected. Iran, they know. They do not have the support of the population. The population right now, they're prohibited from drinking, but they drink anyway. They drink anyway. They're prohibited from having parties, they have them anyway. They are going against the mullahs, and the mullahs can't do anything because there's too many of them. So once the money stops, they cannot use their secret police to make these people a living hell. Remember, the Shah was overthrown by an oil strike. You collapse, you bankrupt Iran, you've got 85 million people who are really upset of the living hell they've gone through and their country being hijacked.
So my answer about regime change?
Yes, it's a gift. It's a gift to the people of Iran that could change the destiny of their nation.
Let's talk about the Palestinian leadership. There are problems with the other side, the two-state solution versus the one-state solution. The one-state solution right now is having a momentum. It's building to educate Israel at the moment. What do you think will happen?
Well, number one, I think that the crisis Israel faced has nothing to do with states. It wasn't attacked over land. Israel gave them land. That's why they were attacked. They were attacked because of radical Islamic ideology fed into their brains as babies that Jews have horns and tails and are the seed of Satan. They were attacked because the money poured into their coffers to fund terror. All that ideology has to stop. There's going to be zero tolerance from that, and all the money has to stop. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time to drain the swamp and re-educate people. Yes, there's going to be a lot of them you can't re-educate. And they're going to have to get out of there. They're going to have to get the bad actors out of there because the corruption has to stop. These people they've been used. They've been used as a cash cow. And this all has to stop, and I believe it can. Jared Kushner had a plan. Donald Trump had a plan. But it's going to take time and patience. It's going to take years. It's not something that can happen overnight, and it's certainly not going to happen in a peace summit that is going to talk about land. They still want to kill Jews.
Right now, as we speak, we had just done a story in Gaza, and there are 700,000 students without school for over a year. Isn't this a pivotal moment where there are tents set up, where people can go in, organizations can go in and retrain young students from a young age in terms of education? Is there a way to transform this pipeline?
I'll tell you an interesting story. I was with Ariel Sharon just before he met with George Bush to give him Gaza. And I said to Ariel Sharon, how are you going to deal? How are you going to deal with Jew hatred in Gaza? He said, I don't know how to deal with it. How do you suggest? And here's what I said to him. I said, how many Christian Arabs have blown up Jews? He turned to his ambassador, Danny, he said, how many? I've never heard of a Christian Arab blowing up a Jew. He said, I haven't either. Why don't they blow us up, Mike? I said, because they don't have demons. He said, demons? No, the Christian Arabs don't have the demon of death in them. They don't want to kill a Jew. And so Ariel Sharon was very funny. He said, oh, I have a great idea. Why don't we put Christian radio stations on the border and pump it into Gaza and make them into Christians, then they won't blow us up. And he started laughing. And I said, it's not so funny. It's the truth. The Christian Arabs will not blow you up. They don't have a culture of death. So it's going to take time. I don't think it's a quick fix. You can't take people that believe in their hearts that Jews invented the diseases of the world, the wars of the world, and they're the seed of Satan, and expect them to be re-educated in a slow process. It's going to take time, it's going to take patience, but it can be done.
The Jewish community in America has traditionally voted 80% Democrat to 20% Republican. If President Trump was running in Israel, it would be a flip.
Yes.
How does the Christian community view this? It's quite the contradiction.
Well, you know, you have a term in Israel, going down and going up. And I think what happened fundamentally, and it's a sad thing, I think the Holocaust birthed something among the Jewish people. It birthed a God is dead movement, where there was an ideologically that embraced education and tolerance. Because they saw an intolerant leader, Hitler, they thought if they embraced tolerance, that it may be the answer. People liking us, we're going to be more tolerant. In other words, maybe these people are not so bad. Maybe they're just little George Washingtons that need more education. No, they are worse than bad. You saw it on October 7th. So I think that education has not resolved the problem in the Jewish community in America, and tolerance hasn't resolved the problem because, by the way, the same Jewish people in America that voted against Donald Trump, regretfully, were living on the border of Gaza, in the kibbutzes. God loved those people. They were bringing food to them. They were taking them to hospitals. They were bringing them into their homes. They were protesting for them. What did they do? They developed the master plan to murder them, and then they came in and stole everything after the murderers did it. So it doesn't work that way.
President Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and he also recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. What does term 2 of the Middle East plan look like for President Trump?
What I think the first thing we'll see is Saudi Arabia, the peace with the whole Sunni world. This is astronomical. This is actually bigger than the recognition of Jerusalem or the Golan Heights. It's way bigger because it closes the window. It closes the big window. Who's left? Who are in it? Who are Israel's enemies left? North Korea, Syria, and Iran. Iran's bankrupt. North Korea's not really an enemy, and Israel has control of Syria to a great degree right now. Majority of the world is doing business with the state of Israel, and it's Bibi's policy of TTP, anti-terror and technology for peace.
Can you point to the things that have happened in the course of the last few years quietly between Israel and Saudi Arabia?
Well, yes. Number one, when I met with the Crown Prince, I found him astonishingly pro-Israel, more pro-Israel than most Jewish people in America. He even told me that his mother was Jewish. He said she's an evangelical Jew. I said, that's not possible. He said it was my father's house director, and I learned everything about Jews and evangelicals from her. Very, very pro-Israel. He said the Palestinians are fools. They wasted our money. They shouldn't be fighting Israel. They should be copying Israel. So I think what's going to happen, there's zero tolerance in Saudi Arabia for anti-Semitism. They do not allow the mullahs to preach until they monitor their messages. They can't preach anti-Semitism in the mosques. So I think that once there's peace with Saudi Arabia and Israel, it's going to be a massive game changer. Listen, the state of Israel is an incredible position to grow, to prosper, to bless the whole world. And the only thing that's kept it from happening is terror. And once the head of the terror snake is taken off, it's going to be a new day for the state of Israel. I think the next 4 years could be the greatest 4 years in Israel's history. And I'm not sure Israel would ask very much from Donald Trump. And they would probably be giving more than they'd be asking.
October 7th changed the world for Israel and Israel's still fighting with Hamas and Hezbollah. Do you think there's something that Donald Trump can do as he enters, and I know what you said about the war stopping before, if it didn't, that would actually shift what's happening? And you had many events even here at your complex to memorialize many of the people.
Here's the heartbreaking dilemma that Israel faces. Israel can't end the war in 8 weeks. They can do it on the north and the south with those Iranian armies. They can end that. But what about the hostages? And here's the stark reality that none of us want to talk about. One Israeli soldier, it took you almost 2,300 Palestinian prisoners, including the chief architect, to get him back after 5 years. If anybody is delusional enough to believe that these devils that beheaded Jews and raped them while they're eating their Shabbat meal is going to give you your hostages back, they're not going to do that. By the way, a large percentage of them are probably already dead. It's the cruelest, most evil thing you could do to human beings, to hold their children, their grandmothers, like this hostage. But I don't believe for a second that Hamas has any intention of negotiating a resolution to this crisis using the hostages.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.
There's an interesting story going down in Israel. There are very few flights that are happening right now, and yet parked in Ben Gurion Airport is Emirates Air and Fly Dubai. They never stop flying throughout the entire operation of the war. To what do you attribute that?
Well, I have met with MBZ also and MBS, and they can't say enough nice things about Israel. By the way, both of them are not fans of Democrats. They told me when Obama was in power that they used, I won't use the language they used to describe him, because he did things that caused them tremendous heartache. MBZ told me that we were having terror attacks, and he said he would send to support us. He never did. And he said, one time, here comes a ship of Iranian missiles. I'm calling your government. Help us, help us, help us. And no response. Help us, the general. Then finally, wow, the ship is taken care of. And I called the general. I said, please thank the president for me. The general whispered and said, it wasn't Obama, it was Bibi Netanyahu who did it. So there's a relationship. Listen, the Abraham Accords happened because of Bibi Netanyahu, not because of Donald Trump. Bibi Netanyahu built a bridge with these countries. He never took any of the credit for it. But I know that because when I was with the Crown Prince Saudi Arabia, I was going to meet Bibi the next day. I said, do you have any message for him? He said, yes, tell him thank you.
What advice do you have for Prime Minister Netanyahu at this moment? You know the man intimately.
You know, the only advice that I have for him is the advice that I've told him many times in the past. Put all of your faith in God and seek his strength and wisdom and power. He knows from his Bible stories that God has taken men like David and leaders and mightily used them. This is greater than his abilities. He's brilliant. He's the most brilliant man on the planet, political leader. But this is greater than him. But with God's strength and God's wisdom and power, he can go down in history as the 21st century Winston Churchill.
You say you have two loves. As a matter of fact, you've mentioned in the past to your wife that Israel's the other love.
I said to her when I married her, there's another woman in my life and I have to be with her always. She said, who? What? I said, yes. Her name is Israel. And I've been with her over 200 times since we got married. But she said, if she ever calls me on the phone, there's going to be a problem. So Israel is my love in my life. And I have to be with her always. And by the way, I don't go to Israel for the right wing or the left wing. Shimon Peres was left wing. He was my chairman. It's the bird. I'm here for all of Israel all the time.
The Judeo-Christian alliance is stronger than it has been in years. When did it change? When was that pivotal moment that you saw that shift? And why is it so strong at this moment?
Well, the founder, the Herzl of the Judeo-Christian alliance was Menachem Begin. I had the privilege of knowing him, and he allowed me to be part of his dream and vision. This was before anybody came along. There was no Hagees or Ekil Ecksteins. None of them were there then. In those days, there was a lot of suspicion about these Christians, Zionists. What do they want to do? They want to steal our soul. They want Armageddon to happen. But then all of a sudden, as the years went by, they started seeing them do good deeds and make sacrifices. And they thought, wow, they really care about us. And it's not a hidden agenda. They really do care about us. And so this day is a brand new day. It's a brand new day. Listen, Friends of Zion is now over a decade old. We have Orthodox rabbis here. We have the secular Jews here. We have Chinese and people from all over the world. It's a brand new day for the State of Israel. And the State of Israel now knows something about Christian. They know what a real Christian is. And Mother Teresa said to me, real Christians can't kill Jews. They have to love Jews because Jesus was Jewish, and love is not something you say, it's something you do.
Mike Evans, founder of the Friends of Zion Heritage Center, a pleasure. Thank you for the insights. It'll be interesting to see where everything goes and also all of the thoughts that you have for the leaders across the world.
Thank you.